Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritte Naram Chaiva Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Text number 4 onwards. Samuhurtam abhutatushni Krishnangri sudhyabhriham Divrena bhakti yogena nimagna sadhu nirodhataha. For a moment he remained dead silent, and his body did not move. He became absorbed in the nectar of remembering the Lord's lotus feet in devotional ecstasy, and he appeared to be going increasingly deeper into that ecstasy. So these are the symptoms of Uddhava, and symptoms when Vidurji asked him questions about Krishna, and others also, but more about Krishna. When Uddhava is thinking about Krishna, his body became static. Means he went into trance and he got into, these are called Ashta Sattvic Vikar. So 8 symptoms of ecstasy that he displayed. On the inquiry by Vidura about Krishna, Uddhava appeared to be awakened from slumber. He appeared to regret that he had forgotten the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus he again remembered the lotus feet of the Lord, and he remembered all his transcendental loving service unto him. And by so doing, he felt the same ecstasy that he used to feel in the presence of the Lord. Because the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his remembrance and his personal presence. Thus Uddhava remained completely silent for a moment, but then he appeared to be going deeper and deeper into ecstasy. Feelings of ecstasy are displayed by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. There are 8 kinds of transcendental changes in the body: tears, shivering of the body, perspiration, restlessness, throbbing, choking of the heart, choking of the throat, etc. And all were manifested by Uddhava in the presence of Vidura. So these are the 8 kinds of transcendental changes, Ashta Sattvic Vikar. And this similar, not the same, I won't say they are transcendental, but similar changes can also be experienced materially. Like tears, material changes can be there if somebody is really fearful of something, then he can start crying. But here the tears are because of love for Krishna, remembrance of Krishna. And by Krishna not being there physically, so the separation brings the tears. Then the shivering of the body, like the romancha, perspiration, restlessness, all these changes in the body, the ecstatic symptoms are displayed by, like Prabhupada said, by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. Not so advanced, and maybe the just the actors. Like when the actors in movies, Bollywood or Hollywood movies, they're acting, they also show all these symptoms. They can display these symptoms just like that because they are very expert in their acting. But this is not acting by Uddhava in presence of Vidura. This was not at all acting. Huge difference between these kind of symptoms and the symptoms displayed by the actors, professional actors. So only a person who's at that level of Uddhava, at that level of advanced devotion service, he can understand that this person is displaying real ecstatic symptoms. Just like, and if non-devotees or devotees who are not at that level, they see this, they will definitely misinterpret it. Definitely. They'll think, oh, this person is an actor. He's a he's a charlatan. He's just showing off. Just like during Mahaprabhu's Leela, once Haridas Thakur, he was passing by, and some person, I don't think he was singing Krishna Kirtan, but he was singing some Kirtan. Maybe it was Krishna's name. And Haridas Thakur, just hearing that Kirtan, he started developing this Ashtasattvic Vikar. And he started dancing, jumping up and down, and his body was shivering, and there was perspiration all over. So the crowd gathered, and there was person, one devotee. He kind of protected Haridas Thakur. He understood Haridas Thakur is in ecstasy right now. So he kind of protected Haridas Thakur. He protect like crowd from going and touching Haridas Thakur. So after a while, that person stopped singing, and then Haridas Thakur came back into his senses, and he left. But seeing that Haridas Thakur got so much of, I'm sorry, Haridas Thakur got so much of praise and honor by the local people, they all gathered around and they really appreciated the symptoms of Haridas Thakur. One person, he also started displaying, he was acting, started displaying those symptoms, and he was also dancing, and he was also showing his choking of the throat. But the person who was protecting Haridas Thakur, when he saw this person dancing like that, he took up his stick and beat him up mercilessly, because he understood this guy is just a charlatan. He's just doing it for praise or money or some other material things. So the point is, a person who's at that level of devotion service, he can understand. Not everybody can. And others will always either because people generally have so much of enviousness in their heart, they'll most of the time they'll misinterpret, and they'll say this person, just like Haridas Thakur, this person is an actor. He's simply cheating others. So we have to be very careful. So whom to show these symptoms, in front of whom we should display, because actually it's not in our control when these symptoms will show up. It's not at all in our control, but still a devotee generally has some control over his body. Just like Srila Prabhupada, 2 or 3 times he displayed these symptoms. Once he was singing Jai Radha Madhav, I believe in Mayapur, before the class. And while singing Jai Radha Madhav, he just, the hall was full of devotees and he was playing on his kartal and playing. He just kept silent. The kartal, he quit playing. His hands were frozen and his tongue was frozen. And he just sat there looking into I think his eyes were closed. Yeah, his eyes were closed, and tears were coming from his eyes, and he just sat there. So devotees in the whole hall, they were just sitting there looking at Prabhupada. They didn't know what to do. So after maybe 5-6 minutes, then one devotee, one sannyasi, he realized we should do something. And he started playing mridanga and he started doing kirtan. After a while, Prabhupada came back to his senses, and then he he started the class and carried on with the class. So afterwards, there was a big argument amongst the devotees. Some were saying, oh, when Prabhupada was in that mood of ecstasy, we should have left him alone. We shouldn't have disturbed him. And some were saying, no, the person who started Kirtan, he did the right thing. So the Maharaj who did the Kirtan, he went to Prabhupada after the class and he said, Prabhupada, this is what happened. Actually, Prabhupada didn't even know what happened. And he said, Prabhupada, this is what happened. And he said, so next time such thing like happens, such thing, what should we do? So because for them, Prabhupada was the whole source of all the instructions. Whatever Prabhupada wanted, they did. And Prabhupada very shyly and very humbly said, oh, this is what happened? I generally don't do this. And he said, you did the right thing. Don't worry. So we have to be at that level to understand the mood of the devotee, what he is feeling, what is he going through. And preferably, if you ever come across something like that, preferably do not disturb his mood. Let him be in his ecstasy. Let him be in touch or um, in association of Radha Krishna or the whatever pastime he is entering or he is realizing or relishing that pastime. But this is what happened with Uddhava. And in fact, Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are so many instances. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went through this pastime so many times, and when he was in Gambhira and Jagannath Puri, Mukunda, he went through this. Lord Nityananda, he used to get into this excessive mood all the time. And pretty much all the devotees in Mahaprabhu's pastimes, one time or the other, they have been through these excessive, ecstatic moods. So Uddhavji is also displaying the same moods, same changes in his body. Text 5. Pulkodbhinnarva sarvango munchan miladrisha shuchaha purnartho lakshita stena snehe prasar samplutaha. It was so observed by Vidura that Uddhava had all the transcendental bodily changes due to total ecstasy, and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation from his eyes. Thus Vidura could understand that Uddhava had completely assimilated extensive love for the Lord. The symptoms of the highest order of devotional life were observed by Vidura, an experienced devotee of the Lord, and he confirmed Uddhava's perfectional stage of love of Godhead. Ecstatic bodily changes are manifested from the spiritual plane and are not artificial expressions developed by practice. There are 3 different stages of development in devotional service. The first stage is that of following the regulative principles prescribed in the codes of devotional service. So that stage is called sadhana bhakti. So even in sadhana bhakti, it's like properly following the regulative principle. There are 2 stages. One is Vedhi sadhana bhakti. Vedhi sadhana bhakti is, Vedhi means Vidhi Vidhan, or following the rules and regulations. And second is Raganuga sadhana bhakti. So on the Raganuga platform means one gets spontaneous attraction for following these rules and regulations. One does not have to be forced or told or reminded again and again that you have to follow these rules and regulations of performing bhakti. And then next stage, the second stage is that of assimilation and realization of the steady condition of devotion service. So that stage is called bhav bhakti. One gets some bhav, one gets some some mood for devotion service. And the last stage is that of ecstasy, symptomized by transcendental bodily expression. So that stage is called prema bhakti, one who developed love for Krishna. The 9 different modes of devotional service, such as hearing, chanting, and remembering, are the beginning of the process. So this Navga Bhakti that we do, this is the beginning. But the beginning means, in the beginning we do these activities without any love, without any ecstasy. But slowly, when we move from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti to Raganuga to Bhava Bhakti to Prema Bhakti, then we'll do the same activities, hearing, chanting, remembering, but with lots of love, lots and lots of love. By regular hearing of the glories and pastimes of the Lord, the impurities in the student's heart begin to be washed off. The more one is cleansed of impurities, the more one becomes fixed in devotion service. So by regular hearing of the glories and pastimes of the Lord. So this is the stages, like Rupa Goswami has explained. It starts with Shraddha, the Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajan Kriya. So these are the stages of Bhajan Kriya. And what Bhajan Kriya, what will happen is Anartha Nivritti, which is a removal of the impurities in student's heart. And then he comes to the stage of Nishtha. So that's where Prabhupada said one becomes fixed in devotional service. Gradually, the activities take the form of steadiness, firm faith, taste, realization, and assimilation, one after another. So that stage is from Nishtha, then Ruchi, then Asakti, Bhav, and Prem. These different stages of gradual development increase love of God to the highest stage. And in the highest stage, there are still more symptoms, such as affection, anger, and attachment, gradually rising in exceptional cases to the Mahabhav stage, which is generally not possible for the living entities. So even after this Prema stage that Rupa Goswami mentioned, now in Madhurya Kadamini book, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions even stages further than Prema stage. In that stage, there is Man, there is Pranay, there is Sneha, there is Bhav and Adirud Mahabhav. So many different terms are there. And this is Prabhupada saying this Mahabhav stage, it is not possible for living entities. Means for us, people like us. So those are only special category of devotees. Of course, that categorization is given in that book, very nicely explained. All these are manifested by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the personification and love of God. So even in that stages of Mahabhav, there are many stages of Mahabhav also. Adirud Mahabhav, Madanakya Mahabhav, Modan Akya Mahabhav. So that Modan Akya Mahabhav, which I only know the technical term, I don't know, don't think I can ever have any realization of that. It is said that Modan Akya Mahabhav is only with one person in the whole creation. That is Srimati Radharani. Even Krishna does not have that. So what kind of Mahabhav that would be, it's hard to imagine, hard to understand. In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, the chief disciple of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these transcendental symptoms displayed by pure devotees like Uddhava are systematically described. We have written a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu entitled The Nectar of Devotion, and one may consult this book for more detailed information on the science of devotion service. So Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, he has given some information about that. Text 6. Shankar Bhagwal Lokan Rilokam Punaragata Vimrijya Netre Viduram Pritya Hodhav Utsmayam. The great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane, and wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence of the past and spoke to Vidura in a pleasing mood. When Uddhava was fully absorbed in the transcendental ecstasy of love of God, he actually forgot all about the external world. The pure devotee lives constantly in the abode of the Supreme Lord, even in the present body, which apparently belongs to this world. The pure devotee is not exactly on the body plane, since he is absorbed in the transcendental thought of the Supreme. So that's a typical of pure devotee. This is Prabhupada says he lives constantly in the abode of the Supreme Lord, even in the present body, which apparently belongs to this world. Even in the material world, this example can be seen. Suppose there are two people, they love each other so much, girlfriend and boyfriend, they are lovers. And if the boyfriend is far away in his house and the girlfriend is in his house, they would be really thinking about each other so much so that the physical body could be in that house, but mentally or emotionally, he is or she is in the other place. Even in physical material world, we can see this example. But what to speak of pure devotee? He has so much of love of God. He has so much of purification. He has so much of attachment for Krishna that he cannot live. Even the present body, material body is here. Okay, the soul cannot leave the material body, but the thoughts, the mind, the consciousness could always be in the spiritual world. That's why when somebody asked Prabhupada, when did you first have realizations of Krishna? Prabhupada said there was never a time I never had any realization of Krishna. Or there was never a time when I forgot about Krishna. So that was Prabhupada's mind. And when he came to New York, he said, although I'm in New York, but my heart is still in Vrindavan. So he was constantly in Vrindavan, although his physical body was in New York. When Uddhava wanted to speak to Vidura, he came down from the abode of the Lord, Dwarka, to the material plane of human beings. Even though a pure devotee is present on this mortal planet, he is here in relation to the Lord for engagement in transcendental love and service, and not for any material cause. A living entity can live either on the material plane or in the transcendental abode of the Lord, in accordance with this existential condition. The conditional changes of the living entity are explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and instructions given to Srila Rupa Goswami by Lord Sri Chaitanya. The living entities all over the universe are enjoying the effects of respective fruitive results of their own work, life after life. Out of all of them, some may be influenced by the association of pure devotees and thus get the chance to execute devotional service by attainment of taste. So this is the famous shloka, Brahmanda Brahmita Kono Bhagyavan Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. This taste is a seed of devotion service, and one who is fortunate enough to have received such a seed is advised to sow it in the core of his heart. As one cultivates a seed by pouring water to fructify it, the seed of devotion service sown in the heart of a devotee may be cultured by pouring water in the form of hearing and chanting of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord. The creeper of devotion service, so nourished, gradually grows, and the devotee, acting as a gardener, goes on pouring the water of constant hearing and chanting. The creeper of devotion service gradually grows so high that it passes through the entire material universe and enters into the spiritual sky, growing still higher and higher until it reaches the planet Golok Vrindavan. The devotee gardener is in touch with the abode of the Lord, even from the material plane, by dint of performing devotion service to the Lord, simply by hearing and chanting. As a creeper takes shelter of another stronger tree, similarly the creeper of devotion service, nourished by the devotee, takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus becomes fixed. When the creeper is fixed, then the fruit of the creeper comes into existence. And the gardener also nourishes it by able to, who nourished it is able to enjoy this fruit of love, and his life becomes successful. That Uddhava attained this stage is evident from his dealings. He could simultaneously reach the spiritual planet and still appear in this world. So this creeper of Bhakti Lata it grows in our heart by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And then the gardener or the person or the devotee, he nourishes it. He waters it. What's the watering process? Watering process is constant hearing and chanting of the glories and pastimes of the Lord. Doing devotion service, that is a nourishment for this creeper. And then this creeper starts growing and growing and growing, and more we engage ourselves in hearing and chanting and service, more it grows. And finally it takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in Golok Vrindavan. And there it produces the real juicy fruit of devotion service, which is love of God. So this is the proper process. And Uddhavji, although he was perfect from the very beginning, from the very childhood, he was always used to remember Krishna. But even for Uddhav, although he's a disciple of Brihaspati, but he still hadn't had any experience or understanding or realization of Gopi's love for Krishna. So that is why Krishna, when he was in Dwarka, he sent Uddhav to Vrindavan to give a message to the Gopis. The idea was not to give the message to Gopis. The idea was to let him learn the lesson from Gopis. What is really love for Krishna, love for God? And Gopis were like the professors in the University of Krishna Prem, where Uddhav also took that mission. And then he was personally trained, and he did personally he did his PhD under the Gopis, under the guidance of Gopis. This PhD actually means pure-hearted devotee. So he really became pure-hearted afterwards. And then he developed a kind of love for Krishna that, of course, he cannot imitate what Gopis have, but he came very close. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, very nicely explained. But
thank you, Mata.
Very nicely. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank
I wanted to ask one question. Sometimes in gratitude also devotees feel these symptoms of ecstasy. It's not ecstasy, it's symptoms of gratitude. So they are also similar to the symptoms of ecstasy.
Yeah, but love for Krishna has different symptoms.
Yeah. So when we feel overly gratitude for the Lord, for what He has given us in the form of the association with the devotees, the services that we get to do by the mercy of the devotees. So what stage are we in when we're able to feel that most of the time?
See, gratitude can only happen in a humble heart. So at least we are developing this stage of bhajan kriya. So it is taking effect on our hearts, making us more and more humble.
Okay.
So obviously we are doing bhajan kriya. We do every day. We do bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya is a chanting and reading and hearing and service. This is all part of bhajan kriya. So means it is taking effect.
Yeah.
Of course, these are not black and white stages. They're gray shades are there. So it doesn't mean nishtha is not there. Some part of nishtha is there in bhajan kriya, and some anartha nivritti is also happening, but not all the anarthas are gone yet. So it's lots of gray areas are there as well.
Right. Yeah. Everything is happening at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for such a wonderful explanation.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. So you all enjoy your rainy weather today? Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Wonderful weather. We don't feel like going out.